Welcome to my humble abode, everybody. I didn't realize you were live. Yes, we've had a busy couple of weeks, right? So last week I did my analyst tour, and this week I had to hustle to write a white paper on data sovereignty. And we're participating in an event in the Global South, that's being held in Delhi the week of the 16th of February. And we have a point of view on data sovereignty, and India is one of those countries where they're saying, let's unhook ourselves from American technology. We're like way too dependent, and then let's see what we can build up within India. And then India has that really strong alliance now with the EU. So anyway, I've written a white paper. It's been out for peer review. I got some great feedback on it, and I'm hoping to finalize it today. So that took a lot of time. I mean, these white papers don't magic themselves up, and you have a full time job as well. But I quite enjoyed writing it. It's a topic that I hadn't given a whole lot of thought to. But one thing that I was considering is that data residency is one part of data sovereignty, but it's the most obvious and probably the least important part, right? Because people don't think about the things like, where are the people that are touching this, right? Well, what happens when it comes to AI, right? And bringing in data from other locations, what's happening? And I'm thinking it's more of a governance challenge, right? So when we talk about governance by design, I'm thinking kind of that sovereignty by design is probably going to be a thing that we should be thinking about. And then I was thinking about the role of data contracts in data sovereignty, and I'm like, I get a man who absolutely can help with that. 'Cause I don't know, data contracts as they're currently defined really cover or explicitly cover this use case.
No, I think they're not. It's something. I mean, in general, I would say IT sovereignty, not only data, was as grew up, and obviously the latest political development is accelerating it.
Yeah,
Um, so it was not really very high on anyone's radar. It was almost like, oh, it's yet another marketing push, or it's a nice to have, or you know, I remember the number of times where the French administration said, "Oh, we're not going to use Microsoft Office, but we're going to use LibreOffice and things like that." Okay, so
right.
and every,
Yeah,
and every time Microsoft come back, caved and gave them a better deal, et cetera, et cetera. So
right. Yeah,
that's how it always worked. Okay, and I think it was always using sovereignty as a way to lower the cost. But uh, um, so I think it's a wonderful opportunity for Actian, because we are a non-aligned vendor. When I say, I use the term more loosely now, like, based in the non-aligned countries before, when you had the Soviet Union and the USA.
right.
So we are not aligned to any cloud vendor particularly. Okay, I don't think we even have a preference. So we've got things running everywhere. So I think that it gives us an opportunity to deliver where we want, okay, including on-prem, because there's a lot of I hear a lot of company going back to on-prem for more natural cost control, and it makes sense. So sovereignty is part of it. So for at the contract level, no, we have not yet defined that. We've got an infrastructure component, okay, so where you can specify um, zones, or where your data is. Okay, you say this data contract is governing Parquet file on S3, for example. Okay, then you can specify which zone this S3 file is, but there's no policy yet saying like, oh no, you're not allowed to copy it to the US. Okay, or you're not allowed to do. So the policy part should probably be developed based on those new requirements. So yes, so that's an I had a it's very interesting, because we released ODCS version 3.1 in December. Okay, And as a team, oh yeah, we're proud, a new version. Okay,
Yeah, of
maybe
course.
we should, maybe this gives us a little bit of a break for a few for a
Yeah,
few
no.
something.
Are you kidding? When we look at, like, the pace at which data contracts are being adopted, I mean, the adoption rates are just going through the roof, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, it's
and
no, it's
it
gonna get even busier for you. Yeah,
yeah, no, it's there's just that, and I've so I we had a major, not an issue, but someone suggested an issue on GitHub, okay, about about reselling data, okay, because a lot of people think about there's a big confusion in our industry about data products being data products for inside a company, okay,
right.
and there's people like uh, S&P, ZoomInfo, Dun and Bradstreet that are actually doing, or Sequoia, people that are actually selling data through and there's a little bit of a misaligned definition between the data product for both. Okay, so now I've got all these data brokers basically that are coming and say, "Hey, you're missing that, and that in your
Yeah,
contract." Okay, okay,
right.
thanks for highlighting that. And then you've got sovereignty on top of it. So yeah, no, I totally had a break, but no, no way. No.
I do sovereignty, I'm telling you. It's so important.
Oh.
Help us save the world. Sovereignty, it's gotta be your next priority. Book
I think I always th we with data products and data contracts, we were trying to, um, not break the silo, but explaining the silos, and I think that sovereignty is recreating silos. I'm not saying that in a negative way, but we've got to be able to provision that in contracts and products. Um
yeah.
and that's going to be interesting. But
It
the
is, right? For global companies, right? And there's a lot of them out there, right?
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
are
yeah.
going to have to revert to siloed data because of data sovereignty requirements.
And it makes sense. Okay, it makes sense. Data contracts have obviously a little bit of an influence from the legal world as well. Okay, so
Yeah.
so we've got yeah, we've got to bring that up. So I'm not to worry. We just need to, do the right thing, and that's going to happen, of course. So yeah. So
You
but
might need, more arms and legs to make it happen, right? Because there's a lot to it get done.
yeah, and the very interesting part is that so ODCS, so the Open Data Contract Standard, and but maybe not all our audience know. Um, it's a Linux Foundation project, okay, called BTOL, and at the head of BTOL there's this technical steering committee, which I'm honored to chair, but they we are really roughly we it's a we the number of people in the technical steering committee varies a little bit, between, I would say, 13 and 15, 16 people. So, two and full.
What a
Uh,
group, right? Yeah.
no, no, it's a nice group, and in this group, it's mostly Europeans. Okay, but I think the need for governance, has emerged mainly from GDPR and the EU Act for AI and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's less. I think governance has always, from a US perspective, governance has, unless it's a regulated environment like finance or healthcare, I think it's always been a nice to have. Okay, where in
Right.
Europe it's not a nice to have. It's a regulated thing for everybody. Okay, everybody's got
Right.
GDPR. Okay, so the motivation for contracts from a government perspective has been always stronger in Europe. Uh, and yeah, and
It's
our
funny because we see, like, the adoption rate is higher in the US according to a survey that we recently commissioned. I'm
yeah,
not gonna talk about the results of the survey right now because we're working on a presentation for the Gartner conference, right? That,
yeah.
where we're gonna share the results of the survey, and there'll probably be yet another white paper around this. But, But yeah, no, it seems like adoption rates in the US, but it's probably because of the financial services and healthcare companies in the US that have adopted data products, right?
And
And they're now
so one push also in the US for data contracts has been done by other people than me. uh, and they didn't push too much a data contract from a perspective of governance, but more as a perspective from operations. Okay, so
right.
so
Yeah.
that would be also interesting to know more. Um,
Yeah, we are seeing that, right? So contracts actually is a vehicle for delivery on quality, right?
yeah,
So if you can boil the ocean down to, just the data that you need for a specific AI use case, look, address quality for that specific use case through the contract, right? Put observability in place. It really helps you focus and start showing some success with AI rather than trying to do all of it.
yeah, and the good thing is, I'm not in favor of boiling the ocean. It's not good for the fish.
It's not good for the ocean.
Uh,
Yeah, you can never boil the ocean, right? So if you can like narrow the aperture, focus on just the data product that's required to solve a specific use case, right? And then provide the governance through the contract, it really helps.
it is, and and so and that's what some people, I just came to. We have a few discussion with practitioners in Seattle and Portland, and people understand what's the idea of the contract, but based on where they are. So when you're talking to people in governance, they understand contracts from a perspective of governance. If you're in ops, they understand the contract based on ops. Okay, but more and more, if you're in software engineering, people also understand the contract based on the software engineering aspect of things as well. Okay, so it's really the data contract. I think I've got to write a piece on that, but the data contract serves governance, operations, and software engineering. Okay, developers.
Right. Yep.
So it's really this central triptych thing that can actually do all of that. So yeah, I always think about the elephant in the room and the four blind man or the four blind people. Uh, and that's an ear. Oh, that's a tail. The thing is, but it's an elephant. Okay, and I don't like to compare the data contract to the elephant, but elephants are are nice animals.
The elephant in the room. I love it. But one thing that maybe I think writing an article on it makes a lot of sense because what we've seen internally and externally is a ton of confusion. People hear the word contract and they immediately have an allergic reaction to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
It
that's
sounds
a funny thing.
legalese, right? So yeah, we have to go through this education process as to what is a data contract, and I think there are some really great sample contracts out there that help people to get it. But yeah, it's a I think you're actually working on it, right? To demonstrate how do you
Yes,
demo a
we
data
we we
contract?
we I think that's also something is that, people they want to be able to touch the thing, okay? And
Yes,
we support data contracts and data products in our, data intelligence platform, but it's not enough. People want to see more, okay? So they
yeah,
want the complete end-to-end picture, and that's
right.
where, we need to spend a little bit more energy. The
Yeah, so, like, I was talking to our CEO this week, right? And, he's coming to an understanding on data contracts, right? And he's seen the YAML file and he's seen examples, and he's like, "But in practice, right, does the business person sit down and start coding the YAML file, or does the data engineer do it? And do they share it? And, like, practically, how does a contract get implemented?" And I was
it
like, "Wow, I hadn't even thought about that
it
side of
it
it."
because it's so universal in the company,
Yeah,
it touches a lot of people, okay? So
yeah,
so so, and a lot of persona in the company. So typically, I've I've ever since I've been working on data contracts product on Mesh, I've isolated the personas, okay? And I've got I've got my favorite personas because they're all the same for for 5 or 6 years now. We've got Cindy, we've got Juliet. Juliet's a data scientist. Cindy's a data engineer. So all those we are really targeting to understanding what their needs are and how we actually, it's not only about adding tasks to them. Okay, that's something when I was at PayPal we realized is we had a bunch of data engineers that were initiating the data contract, and that's how it works. But the thing is, they came to the other. I'm not going to do that. Okay, I've got enough work. I don't want to do that. Oh, uh, we lost you, Emma.
Uh, but
Oh, you're back. Okay. So I don't want to do that. And the thing is, we said, okay, but what is the thing you least like to do as the documentation? I hate doing the documentation in conference.
right.
I said, okay, well, the thing is, stop doing the documentation because everything is in the contract. And then, but you can't pile things on top of people. You've got to take some things away, and so that's how we got adoption, okay, at least from the engineering perspective. So that yeah that's really where we are, persona driven end-to-end scenario to explain that. So yeah, it's fun. It is. But, when you talk about data contracts in a room, you've got this. You can have this allergic reaction to a lot of
Yeah,
people,
it's a lot, right?
people,
Yeah.
except lawyers.
Yes.
When you have a room with someone who's got a legal background, a lawyer, or even someone that turned into the data world, but is coming from a legal perspective, their eyes are finally something I understand in this business.
Right? Yes. Yeah. Everybody else is like, "Oh, no, we're gonna have to get the lawyers involved."
Yeah. So the thing is, we inherited the term. I didn't coin it. Um, But I think I like to compare data contracts with data brochures. Okay, I think it's almost more like back in the day when you went to a car dealership and got this very nice glossy brochure with all, oh, am I going to take this crappy seats? Oh, the leather seats in this.
Right? With the metallic paint.
That's fun. Oh, and so I see is the data contract almost being this brochure. Okay, so yeah, I've got this very fancy data. Do you want it, Emma? so, so there's a bit of marketing as well in the whole process.
Right. I do like so, I mean, we can talk about contract enforcement, right? And the role of observability in making sure that we are, in fact, complying with the terms of the contract, and it kinda makes sense from that perspective, though, right? To use the term contract as opposed to brochure,
No,
but yeah, maybe
I agree, and that's where the ops part comes into play as well.
yeah,
So for
right.
to make sure. And I'm not going to suggest that we change the name to brochure. Okay, that's that.
It's a terrible name, and you're not in marketing, so yes.
And there's a reason why I'm not in marketing. Maybe
There are many reasons, but that'd be one, yes. Well, I do know you like to do a little bit of marketing, right? Like designing your own shirts and, you're quite
yeah,
clever in some
I do, I do, I do.
Yeah.
I try to be creative at times. I don't know if I'm
Yes,
successful,
you
but
do.
I try to
Well,
do.
have fun with it. Yeah,
Yeah, but I don't think I don't think it's really marketing. I just like things that look nice. Are, are
right.
you are you are you going to be more attracted in a white paper uh, that has margin, that has a little bit more white space, that has illustration in it, that has margin, which you can annotate things if you print it, or something where the margin is 2 millimeters on each side with a font of 8. Okay, so I think it's about how you can deliver a message. In French,
You're actually thinking of from a user experience standpoint, though, right? So it's a,
yes, Yes, yes,
Yeah.
because that's what matters,
Because
okay?
when you get a white paper and you wanna scribble in the margins, there has to be a margin to scribble in. Yeah,
It's and it's not about for me, the user experience is not only about the user interface, okay? The
right.
it's about it's about the
That's an end-to-end experience. Yeah,
yes, the
yeah,
and being consistent, okay? I think when I wrote my first book, Spark in Action, my editor said, "Well, if you're doing something, the strongest thing you've got to do is be consistent around the book, okay? You can't do something there and not do it there." So that's why in the paper you wrote, not this one, not the sovereignty paper, but the other document you wrote, you've got a very consistent way of presenting things across the different use cases, and I think that that matters a lot because then you get used to this matter,
style. Yeah,
and it's like I love not user stories, but success stories from customers, because there's always this very rigorous way of presenting things because it's super
yeah,
consistent from one to another. So yeah,
right. Alright, so we're gonna have to wrap things up because we got our CTO office hour starting in 5 minutes.
yeah. This
Um,
this this
we're missing Ola today, so he normally handles the PR for this event, right, by sending out notifications that it's going to begin, so hopefully I think he'll be back in action next week, so he can do a better job of,
yeah.
promoting
I
for
think
us.
I think I think
And,
yeah. I think going to the sun in February is a little bit nasty.
I've been in Europe for 2 weeks, I haven't seen the sun once. It's been miserable. In Ireland, it's just raining constantly with heavy flooding going on, so,
Don't.
yeah, it's a challenge here. Yeah.
Well, I came back from Seattle and Portland. I didn't see the sun, but at least I didn't see snow. That was
Right.
back in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, where I've got something like 30 centimeters of snow outside, and now
I
it's
go back to New York tomorrow. It's bitterly cold in New York, but, I think it's like a couple of centimeters of snow due, not a whole lot.
yeah. So, oh, and
All
you,
right, well, we will wish everybody a good weekend. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
yeah.
Cheers.
Bye bye.